Hello and welcome to Rock Music History Lesson. I'm K.W. King. Today, a group that has sold over 50 million records, Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, Part 2 of 2 on Rock Music History Lesson. In 1982, Seger released The Distance, which had a great combination of rockers and ballads. The biggest hit single on the album, Shame on the Moon, reached number 1 on the adult contemporary charts and number 2 on the Hot 100 charts, but it wasn't written by Seger. It was written by singer-songwriter Rodney Crowell, who was also the ex-husband of Rosanne Cash, and had backing vocals from Glenn Frey. The follow-up single, Even Now, just missed the top 10, and Roll Me Away peaked at number 27. In August of 1983, Old Time Rock and Roll was re-released, originally released in 1979, and got re-energized from being featured in the 1983 Tom Cruise movie Risky Business, when Cruise's character dances in his underwear. Speaking of movies, in 1984, Seger wrote and recorded the power ballad Understanding for the film soundtrack Teachers. It took Seger several years before the next studio album, Like a Rock, emerged in the spring of 1986. The up-tempo American Storm became another top 20 single, aided by a music video featuring actress Leslie Ann Warren. The single Like a Rock was released in May of 1986, reaching number 12 on Billboard's Hot 100, followed by It's You and Miami with backing vocals from Don Henley and Timothy B. Smith. John Mellencamp likes Seger's work, but he was mildly critical of him allowing Chevrolet to use Like a Rock in a television commercial. Seger says the way he looks at it is the way Mellencamp does farming. John is from a farm community and a farm state, and Bob is from an automotive state. Chevrolet and their ad agency showed Seger how well the commercial had tested with audiences. At the time, GM had lost around $1.1 billion in revenue in one quarter. Seger turned down the offer for about a year, and GM told him it was the highest tested commercial they had ever done. The deciding factor was when he was sitting in a bar and a man from the auto industry walked up and said, "Hey, why don't you do any commercials for the auto company and help us out?" The man was nice about it and walked away. Bob thought for a moment and said, "Why not? I'm not above this." Seger wanted to help his state's economy. The commercial proved so powerful that the campaign, which was planned to last 3 to 6 months, ran for 13 years. Since then, he's been offered 10 times as much money as he got from Chevrolet to do beer commercials, but turned it down. Meanwhile, in 2006, John Mellencamp, who criticized Seger for years for allowing GM to use his music, now was doing it too. Mellencamp became the pitchman for Chevy's Silverado, replacing Seger's Like a Rock with his song, Our Country. Mellencamp always had a firm belief music shouldn't be in commercials. He says, quote, "That is, until the record companies sold us out." He said in an interview, "I want my records to be heard. That's why I write them. MTV doesn't even play videos anymore. How do you get it out there and stay relevant?" I guess it's safe to say that John Mellencamp changed his mind about music and commercials. In 1987, Seger recorded the song Shakedown for the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 2, starring Eddie Murphy. The song had originally been intended for his friend Glenn Frey, but when Frey lost his voice prior to the recording session, he asked Seger to take his place. It was Seger's first and only number 1 hit on the pop singles chart. The 90s music scene was about glam metal, grunge, and alternative rock. In 1991, The Fire Inside was Bob's first new album in 4 years, and his new music got very little airplay on radio or elsewhere. The Real Love was the only single released from the album, reaching the number 24 in August 1991. The same was true of his 15th album, It's a Mystery, in 1995, although the album went gold, selling 500,000 copies. However, in 1994, Seger released Greatest Hits, the compilation album, and it was his biggest ever record in terms of sales, selling 10 million copies in the United States as of 2010. In 1998, Seger teamed up with country singer Martina McBride and released Chances Are from the Hope Floats movie soundtrack. Seger took a break from the music business for several years to spend time with his wife and 2 young children. While Seger slipped into normal life, his stature started to rise around the turn of the millennium when Detroit once again rose to prominence as a rock and roll city thanks to the White Stripes and, in Seger's case, Kid Rock, who was often seen in Seger shirts. On March 14, 2004, Bob Seger was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by Kid Rock. Kid said, "Until tonight, the most underrated singer-songwriter and live performer of our time is Bob Seger." Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band were inducted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame in 2005. Seger released his first album in 11 years, Face the Promise, in 2006. His supporting tour was eagerly anticipated. Showing that his popularity had not diminished, his first show in Grand Rapids sold 10,834 tickets in under 5 minutes. In 2009, Early Seger Volume 1 was released. The album included songs from 3 previous albums, Smokin' OPs back in '72 and '7. 2 years later, a 2-CD compilation album was released, Ultimate Hits Rock and Roll Never Forgets. Bob Seger has been called humble and a regular guy. Here's why. One of Bob's biggest fans, Evie Brennan from Flint, Michigan, suffered a stroke in May of 2004 that left her in a semi-coma. 7 years later, in May of 2011, she tumbled out of bed, bumped her head, woke up, and her very first words were, "I want to go to a Bob Seger concert." Her aides at the nursing home made sure her wish came true. They rented a limo, got front row seats, and arrangements were made for Brennan to meet Bob and the band backstage. On June 14, 2012, Seger added another accolade to his long list. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In October 2014, Seger released his latest album, Right Out, followed by a highly successful tour. 2 years later, Seger performed the song Heartache Tonight as the Kennedy Center honored the Eagles. Seger co-wrote the song with Glenn Frey, Don Henley, and J.D. Souther. Starting on August 24, 2017, Seger embarked on a 32-city tour and announced his new album coming out in a few weeks, I Knew You When. The tour was cut short because of an urgent issue with his vertebrae. On September 18, 2018, Seger announced his final tour named The Travelin' Man. It included postponed dates from the 2017 tour. Personnel changes happen a few times with the Silver Bullet Band, but when it comes to backup singers, Laura Creamer and Sean Murphy are among the best. Laura Creamer is a lovely singer-songwriter who has toured with the Black Crowes, Eric Clapton, Kid Rock, and of course, Bob Seger. She was also the singer guest artist on Jim Brickman's hit single, By Heart. Sean Murphy is a beautiful lady with a powerful voice that's been with Seger since the mid-'70s. Plus, she plays a mean tambourine. When not touring with Seger, Murphy has a successful career of her own as a blues singer-songwriter. Check her out at SeanMurphyBand.com. Bob Seger's music has been called rock with an edge, heartland rock, music from the soul. Bob Seger has sold over 50 million records, and hopefully there will be more new music in the future. Thanks for watching Rock Music History Lesson. I'm KW King. Make sure you like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. Rock Music History Lesson is produced by K-Dubba Productions.